We're sitting around all the time. No offense, I just, no, it's fine.
All right, call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Hankins.
Here.
Bowersox. Vogel.
Here.
Triplett. Here. Olfest.
Here.
Sayers.
Here.
Commission, I have a question for you. Do you want to move all public comments regarding everybody here to after item 6, or leave it as it is on the agenda? I know typically we say for anything that's not on the agenda, but
I guess how I've often thought it worked well would be to have the petitioner make their presentation, maybe have the staff add in anything if they have to add, and then hear from the public on that particular item prior to us making comments.
Yeah, I'd agree. And the public comments that we normally talk about doesn't say it. It's something other than what's on the agenda.
right.
So I would say if there were public comments, it should, things that aren't on the agenda, allow everybody an opportunity once it's been presented. So I would agree with
So I would then, based on Ron, your comments, I would move item number 4 to after item number 6.
Item 4 is always on the agenda for items not on the agenda.
Right. But,
So there'd be 2 public comments.
all right,
That's what you're saying. Right.
okay. We'll leave it as such then. Take a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I make a motion to approve the agenda from April 17th. Oh, the agenda for today, for May 15th. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, moves forward. So this item on the agenda is public comments for anything that's not on our agenda, which is a little confusing, which is what we just had a discussion of. Is there anybody here that just would like to address the commission for any items that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item number 5. Look for a motion for the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes for April 17th, 2023.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for April 17th as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so now we are on item number 6. And it's a recommendation for council to approve plat of survey and site plan for Ace Hardware. All right.
I can go ahead and start. Good evening, everyone. My name is Erin Olendyke. I'm with Civil Design Advantage. My address is 20 Drive. Yeah. Here tonight on behalf of the owner and developer of this project, Kimberly Development Corporation. Greg Kramer is also. We are here to request approval of a plat of survey and a site plan for a new Ace Hardware store. This project is located. I'll go ahead and flip this so that north is up. It's located north of Hickory Way, south of Willow Way, which are private streets within the Crossroads Lakes development, and located east of South 3rd Street. This site is approximately 2.11 acres in size, and we're proposing a 15,200 square foot Ace Hardware building with parking along the northwest and south sides of the project. We do have landscaping buffers around the residential areas, which are located on the north, east, and south side. And then we do have some parking lot screening along South 3rd Street. Detention for this project is within the regional detention basins that are located in Crossroads of Lakes, Plats 2 and 3 areas, kind of north and east of this project. So our stormwater connections are down on the south side. Our sanitary water and storm sewer connections are all on the south side, so just kind of goes in that direction. We have seen staff's comment letter. I believe we've addressed all of their comments. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions that you might have.
I have a few.
Okay.
I didn't really look, it's probably on here, but the time I printed it out, it was so small I couldn't read it.
Okay.
How many parking spaces,
Oh, yeah.
how many parking spaces are required?
So there are, there are 39 spaces required, and we've got 71 required.
Okay, that answers that
So we're about
question.
almost up.
So the second question is, and maybe this goes back to Snyder. It is pretty common that anybody that sells gardening supplies in the springtime will store stuff outside. So from parking standpoint, they're gonna put that on parking spaces.
No, there will be
They're
no storage.
So where are they gonna put it?
It's gonna be,
Sorry,
Screwed me up.
I created a problem.
So this is the front of the building.
And that's the west side.
Yeah, so off of Third Street, they're gonna store materials in here, similar to what you see like in the Ankeny's, you've ever been by that on Orly.
The difference here is, based on the submitted site plan, storage would be limited just to the west face.
Yeah.
There is no storage designated on the north or south faces of the
Wait a
building.
minute, I lost, it's on the sidewalk?
No, it's in front of the store.
It's a 10-foot sidewalk.
Yeah, it's a widened sidewalk in front of the store.
It's
So
on the sidewalk in front of the store.
store, yeah,
Okay.
storage area.
It's not in a parking space.
Correct.
Okay. So does our ordinance, I know they're gonna put it in the parking spaces, sorry. Just things that happen naturally. Does our ordinance address that? They cannot do.
So if it is not designated as a location for stored materials or merchandising of materials on the site plan, it cannot be placed there and it's enforceable that. So if those supplies do creep into the parking stalls, if they put them in the green space between Third and the parking lot, anything like that, that is enforceable, so not be allowed.
Okay. And then do only the ADA requirements prevail as far as the width that it still has to be maintained of the sidewalk in front of the parking?
Correct. Where it's 4 foot minimum, 5 foot preferred.
So if for some reason it's not adhered to or they don't know about it or understand, we send Jenny up there.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I've been informed, that Jenny has to go and do this stuff, so.
Lucky me.
Okay. For now, that answers my questions.
Any other questions from commission yet?
No, not as yet.
That is it. All right, fair enough. Thank you. We have a couple of people that have requested to speak from the public. I have a Jeff Taylor. Would you like to speak, sir? Come up here and state your name and your address, and then you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, my name's Jeff Taylor. Thanks for allowing us here tonight. I am a board member of the Homeowners Association at Crossroads Lake, which this facility is being built in front of and between and kind of there. We actually are not here to protest Ace Hardware being built. Happy Ace is coming in. There's a lot of things could have gone in that we think would be a lot worse. So we're happy to have Ace. But obviously, it is going to affect our neighborhood and our residents to some extent. And I've seen the site plans. I don't know how many, there's a lot of people who live at Crossroads at the lake here tonight. I don't know how many people have seen the site plan, but I've seen it. And actually, after looking at it, was pretty pleased with the site plan. I think it takes into a lot of the considerations that we were worried about, mostly the screening, mostly the, I'm not an electrician. I looked at the lights and the light plan. as far as I can tell, which, and knowing nothing about them, it look like, fairly low density lights. There's not a lot of spread. The building lights look like they come down pretty straight, et cetera, and won't be a deterrent or intrusive to our residents at all. There's our biggest concern obviously is that we have the least amount of intrusion or inconvenience as possible for the residents, not only while ACE is being built, but after it's completed and open for business and finished. We did have a question, or I had a question, I think everybody else had a question. The berm on the east side of ACE, behind the building, which is behind our row of townhouses that sit on Pinehurst Way. I'm not really clear on who owns that berm or if it's part of our association property. Does anybody
The
really
berm
know?
actually sits on the Ace Hardware.
It does.
Yeah.
And there is a platted buffer easement there.
So are the trees in the site plan gonna go from the top of the berm down to? It looked
Yeah.
like there were a number of them.
Yes, yeah, we've got a lot of trees, and that'll all be owned and maintained by. Ace
Okay.
Hardware.
And that will provide a pretty good screening for our residents that back up to the property.
The berm's 1 foot high.
Not there,
No,
no.
on the east side, there's an existing berm, it's already built.
Okay,
It's probably.
all right, I read that. Sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to make sure if that was the case.
One other concern we had, this is kind of the biggest one, I suppose, is usage of the streets and maintenance of the streets. Those are private streets. They're maintained by the Home Association. Now, we're fairly new, so we haven't had a lot of maintenance on the streets yet. We do pay for the snow removal. And with the additional traffic that's going to be coming into ACE, and I'm assuming some heavy trucks, and also during construction, there's obviously going to be some heavy street. Is if Kimberly or ACE or whoever is involved here is going to share in the responsibility of the maintenance and the snow removal of those streets once the project's completed, once they're open. I mean, we pay a service now to remove the snow all the way along Hickory Way, all the way along Willow Way, and all the way on Pinehurst. So that's a question we have. We don't know if there's some kind of a master covenants that addresses that, if some kind of formula that addresses that. If I know that the lot was given easement on the streets probably when the whole project started, but it is a little bit of a concern for us because we pay for that out of our association dues, and so that's a question we have. I don't know if that's a question anybody can address.
Yeah, I can, on behalf of Kimberly, how those covenants were set up is that those streets are maintained by the townhomes and not that commercial. And that's how the recorded documents have been consistent. To get that there, so.
Okay, so we're gonna pay for the removal of the snow and any damage caused to the streets by traffic, pay for that.
That's how it has always been set up. That's how we
I see, okay.
No, not right.
Well, that's a point. That's right. Yeah.
They're on the recorded, with the county recorder. That's how it's
Well,
recorded.
Karen looked it up.
Yeah, we haven't been able to find them.
And she says she can't find any report.
Sorry. That's okay, thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
So your time is
Uh,
expired.
Okay,
Sorry.
can I ask one quick question? When is the project scheduled to start and when does the estimated end?
It all depends on how fast we can get through the city and then work on all of our construction drawings, but fairly soon, and they would like to be done by December 1st.
Okay,
So it'll move very quickly.
and could we request that during construction, most workers, trucks, that kind of stuff, park on that empty lot on North Willow Way?
Yeah, that would be our plan, is to pour all the concrete at the beginning so that we can stage everything, and everything,
So as a little parking on the street.
1,000%, yeah. We want to make it fair for everybody and understand. So I'm just going off of the recorded documents. I want everybody to know that.
Okay.
That's how they were set up.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Brandon Converse?
All right, good evening, P&Z Commission. My name's Brandon Connors. Kind of with Go
Polk City here tonight. Live at 306 Tradition Drive. And commenting in favor of item 6, located at Lot Z, Crossroads to Lake, Plot 1, proposed building for Ace Hardware. On behalf of the Polk City Board of Directors and as resident of Polk City, Ace Hardware would be a nice addition to town. Filling a void that we currently have, not having a lot of tools and things like that we can purchase in town. And this location is ideal with its proximity to Bridge Road, being on 3rd Street and already zoned as commercial PUD. Polk City is about chamber and economic development. That's who we are. And we have been striving to grow the business footprint in town, so this would certainly be a move in the right direction. I also believe Ace Hardware would be a great business partner in our community. And on a personal note, I enjoy the experience I receive when I go into any Ace Hardware I've been in. You walk in, you're typically acknowledged by someone. They ask, is there anything here I can help you find in the store? It's just a great feeling and something I think would be a great fit for Polk City. So yeah, this is why I think we'd be right at home and a successful business here in town. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to address the commission? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Hi. My name is Wayne Nicholas and I live on Pinehurst Drive. And I'd like to echo the first gentleman that spoke up here. It's like we understand that there may be covenants or something in place that the road is our responsibility, but it's like, and I have no personal anything against Ace Hardware or any business going in there, but just the cost could be very substantial to our House and Home Association to have those streets ruined by heavy trucking. So I don't know how we resolve that or how we get compensated that or come to some other agreement. Understand that regulation was put into place some time ago. I'm just saying that doesn't mean it can't be undone and changed for the benefit of homeowners and Ace Hardware or Kimberly. So, but I guess that can't be answered tonight. All right, thanks for your time.
Anyone else? Sorry.
I just have one question about getting a copy. Are these online?
Yes. Yes. They're under the planning and zoning agenda for tonight.
64 pages.
Yes.
It's 64 pages long, he said.
I got a lot of them.
I have a question for Snyder. What's the construction specifications for the street? The one where the semi would go up, which is Willow Way. I mean, is it?
So as a private street, it is narrower than most public streets. I believe it's either 24 or 25 foot wide compared to your normal 26 foot back-to-back curb. And it would have been proposed as 6-inch concrete pavement. However, with an ECC street or a private street, the city would not have done much of any inspection on that street because it was a private. So the city would have observed the installation of the water main and the installation of the sanitary sewer. That would have been primary involvement of the city.
That street was poured to DOT standards. That's how we poured ours.
Which is what?
They are pseudo standards, yeah.
But it's 6-inch concrete.
I
It's
can't.
6-inch concrete.
What's DOT standards for the street?
SUDOT.
CDOT, what is it? Tell me what they are.
For
Statewide
like the
standards.
subgrade prep, they prepared 12 inches of subgrade prep underneath the street,
All right,
and then it's 6-inch concrete.
okay, reinforced.
It is not reinforced.
It's not reinforced.
It's not reinforced.
Are all our streets in Polk City like that?
Private streets are typically not.
What's the public streets?
They are 6-inch reinforced.
They're reinforced.
Yeah,
This concrete's not reinforced.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
And then, I don't know if there's somebody here from ACE that, other than Kimberly, can answer this, but I assume that, when supplies come in, whatever, however often that be, it's a semi. So the reason for the access to come all the way in on Willow Bay is to be able to back a semi into there, because you couldn't come up shorter and get in there and back into it. Well, you could, but there'd have to be a different configuration that would block parking. That would work.
I think there's turning movements in somewhere that show the path.
Yeah, that would be for emergency vehicles.
Well, it's sounds like at some point in time, something's gonna happen to that street, because it's not, it's not.
So is there a reason, like if we choose to move forward with something, approving this, that we couldn't put in there that Kimberly and ACE need to work with the homeowners association to come up with a mutual agreement or something that could address their concerns?
So you're thinking about making a recommendation contingent on them coming to an agreement?
I'm just
Who's
spitballing
gonna-
here, but yeah.
I mean, who's going to enforce the agreement between two private parties is my concern, because the city can't really do that. I don't know, Travis, do you have any suggestions?
I would echo what Chelsea's saying, is it's an agreement or a resolution between two private parties or two private entities.
Well, the city can't force this, what you're saying,
Right.
but their lawyers can, and go to court if it isn't upheld. If they have an agreement,
But what are you going to require them to do? Enter into an agreement together and the city's gonna sign off on that? I mean, I don't know that I would recommend that.
yeah, I don't know that we can do that. Not pass it until an agreement.
If I may, respectfully, I understand exactly what you're saying. Unfortunately, the city has no authority or no obligation, if you will, because it's a HOA, to, the streets just aren't ours. So I empathize with you because I understand the situation you're in, but it is not our authority to govern what is put there because it's a private street. What I would do if I was in your shoes would be to understand how to get a resolution with parties that are involved, and I'm not saying what you should do, but what I can say is us approving a plan here at P&Z, we're not gonna hold it up because we can't do anything to help. And it's just part of the HOA, so
I understand, but it's not reinforced for trucks.
I'm sorry.
It's a residential community.
What I'm saying is, we did not participate in putting any of that in, that's because it's a HOA. And so, as much as I absolutely empathize with what you're saying, because I would feel the same way, we don't have the authority. It's two private parties that we don't have the authority to do.
So
who did the street inspection?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And none of us knew this.
Kimberly.
No.
It's likely in the covenants.
Nobody's seen the
No,
master
so
plan.
if I may, we have the public comments, so I understand what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as it hits the development, we then don't have the supervisory, that's just not, that's what, you don't do that on HOA public or private areas. So no, we did not. And that's just part of what HOAs are.
And that arrangement is pretty typical across townhome association truck. There are a handful of exemptions or exceptions to that rule. Generally speaking, this is the arrangement in a county association.
I think you could suggest the two parties work out an agreement. I just don't know how to put teeth in it
Well,
from our part.
I guess I think of the group up here, I'm probably the only one that lives in a townhome association and lives on a private street. And, I consider the experience of our HOA to be 90 to 95% positive, but it came with some negative. On our street, which is private, I admit some of that has been negative. We too questioned, who did the inspection. The city didn't do the inspection, so you're really at the honor of the developer to have done the inspection and done the, construction correctly up front. But the city played no role in that, and we can't go back on the city, from our HOA for anything, anything associated with that. All of those agreements are really related to the developer setting up the agreement and filing it. And our agreement is with them and then eventually handed off to us. The city played no role. And so we too have to, scoop our street out and do all that, change our own street lights, do all that fun stuff. Flip side is the other 95% of the HOA I do really enjoy, but that has been one of the frustrating things. Additionally, we see traffic on our street that we don't like, it seems we're finally going to get built out this year after 20 years of construction. So we're always seeing construction traffic on our street. Also, given the name of our street, we see a lot of traffic of people that are lost and confused and looking for other locations. And so we get a lot of traffic that doesn't frankly even belong there on a private street. And I'm sure you guys see that too. You don't want to restrict that because if your house is for sale, you want that traffic to be driving by. So, but anyway, I share your pain in that I've been through it and our townhome association has been through it. But I also personally don't feel that the city has a role to play in that because they didn't set up the HOA. And they have no business, if somebody in your HOA paints their unit bright blue, the city has no role in telling them they can't do that. That's strictly the HOA's responsibility, and they have no means of enforcing that at all, in my opinion anyway, and that's what I've experienced.
Yes.
Isn't the approach coming from the roadway past up to the inside edge of the sidewalk under city? That should have been inspected.
The right of way would be the area parking between Third and the sidewalk, and it would have been inspected, but just that approach. So that's, I don't know how wide it is there, but it would have to be, yes.
Yeah.
Don't get too wrapped up. I mean, the concrete, if we're following SUDA standards, it's a statewide standard that is looked over routinely by all the municipal engineers, consulting engineers, and every time there's issues with a certain part of it, they work it over, tweak it, and change it. So it's constantly updated with different mixes and things like that. So I wouldn't be afraid that you got bad concrete, or as long as we follow the standard that was spec'd. I mean, it is suitable for use completely for the traffic counts and the truckloads that you guys are gonna see.
Can you explain to me why Ace Hardware's traffic, people coming in and out of their lot cannot enter and exit onto Third Street?
Straight out of the lot.
I'm sorry.
Straight out of the lot, you're saying?
Yes.
Be an access control issue.
Yes, so Polk City, as development started happening along Third Street, adopted an access management plan. It was run through the DOT for approval for review, as well as compared against SUDAS standards. And so, okay, so as Third Street began developing, the city worked on an access management plan to space those driveways properly. And then the DOT took a look at it, and then we compared it to the SUDAS regulations at the time. And so if we were to add more driveways between your two private streets, it causes an access spacing issue that could potentially increase traffic accidents, particularly side swipes and basically having too many accesses too close together
I see.
causes a lot of safety concerns with people stopping and not being able to get off the road.
I see. Well, my concern too is then what about the people that live on Hickory Way? What about them entering and exiting their driveways?
So it's based on the classification of the roadway. So the local spacing for SUDAS is much, much smaller. So a local street like Hickory Way, you could be traveling much slower speeds, as well as those spacings are allowed to be much closer together. Whereas Third Street is actually considered a minor arterial, which is the third highest classification for non-interstate highway or roadways in the state. So there is a lot of traffic that goes along Third Street, and so the city in particular and the DOT is very particular and very protective of sort of the Third Street access. We have evaluated the trip generation for Ace Hardware, as well as the spacing from Third Street to that driveway on both sides, the one in particular, the south end, and our traffic engineers believe the spacing is adequate, appropriate for the classification.
And it should be pointed out, there's only 4 homes adjacent to the entrance and exit of Ace Hardware. So on Hickory Way, there's 4 homes with the driveways there. All the rest of the homes' driveways would be beyond the Ace traffic.
Yeah.
I had to turn around because I couldn't get my.
Sir, did you have a question? One last thing?
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't mind ever talking, but certainly you've been looking at me.
I'm gonna try to wrap it up. I'm just gonna say that first of all, I'm on the board.
Can I get your name, please? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Your name and
Fred
address.
Metzel, 833 Pinehurst Way. I'm on the board, president of the board. And residents are not gonna put up with paying Ace Hardware. I don't know, I have a feeling we'll do whatever we have to do. If they're gonna ruin our roads, I'm not paying for the when they ruin it with their semis and their trucks and everything else. We're gonna have to come to agreement that, and I think that's pretty unanimous about every single person on our HOA, that we're not gonna pay for damage created for our roads by another entity. And I understand what you were saying about townhomes, but lived in Polk City quite a while. I'm not sure how many other townhome associations have a commercial lot built into them. I think that might be relatively new in Polk City. I could be wrong, but I'm just guessing. And lastly, I think if Kimberly knew that they were gonna make that a commercial lot, they should have reinforced this.
And they
That
should
should
have
have
been.
been reinforced when they built it, but they didn't really do a lot.
And again, I completely understand where you're coming from. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I'm simply saying, I understand your frustration. I think, as I mentioned before, I think what you need to do is, it's not boycotting Ace.
Right.
It's
No,
figuring,
no, that's
I know
not-
you're not, that's what I'm saying, is you're not boycotting that, but it's simply working to a solution, and the city cannot help.
Right, and as stated, we're glad it's going. We're glad it's finally developed, but at the same time, we're gonna have to come to agreement with them, or we'll do what we can to not have it go on, period.
I wasn't insinuating.
They're not gonna like our snow removal anyway, because we don't get our snow plowed out until 5 o'clock at night. So that means their streets aren't gonna be plowed out till 5 o'clock at night unless they make some kind of agreement with us to pay the snow removal people to come. We're like a retired community. We don't pay the snow removal people to come be first served.
Can I get your name and address, please? Sorry.
Deborah Johnson, 208 Hickory. My house is right across from the end.
Thank
But
you.
I'm just saying, our streets are not plowed out till 5 o'clock at night.
You had one more comment?
Yeah, I did. Again, Wayne Nicholas on Pinehurst Drive. I guess when I'm sitting back here and I'm listening to what everybody's saying, and obviously we've all thought about what might go in there and might not. Does the planning and zoning committee, maybe that should have been planned to have that type of building, an Ace Hardware in there. Maybe that should be townhomes, single-family homes in front of there. Do you have the authority over that to say, hey, this isn't right for this particular development? I mean, at some point in time, somebody had to say this is zoned, whatever it is, for an Ace Hardware.
Yeah, that
It
comes
was
through.
hard to have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been on our plans I've been on the commission for 20 years, and it's been on the comprehensive plan for 20 years, that's going to be commercial. So that was not a surprise to me.
All right, thank you.
Commission members, any other comments?
Yeah, I just, as a comment, I agree that's, to my knowledge, the only HOA in the city that has commercial property in it. But I'm frankly kind of surprised that the HOA was set up to be, to only encompass, to encompass streets outside of the people who are paying the fees for the HOA. I'm really surprised that it was set up that way. From the city's perspective, it's none of the city's business how it was set up.
Sure.
I am very surprised that there's streets outside of the folks that are paying that are gonna be, that they're paying. And I know what, so many times with my HOA, I pull out what I signed when I moved in, and, as far as the HOA documents, and go, yep, I guess I knew that going in, and, but I didn't read it very carefully, because I really wanted the place that day. Just a couple of quick comments also on the plan. I had a similar concern as Doug regarding the storage out front, but I think that's been taken care of, that they are really limited to the first 5 feet from the wall for their temporary storage out front, so glad to hear that.
Yes, it would take a site plan amendment for it to be stored anywhere other than where it says it. Right.
And then a couple of real positive things that I just wanted to point out. First of all, there is a bike rack there for the employees of Ace Hardware that would want to bike to work or at light load that you were coming there for, and they're located on the rec trail, so I was very happy to see that. Also, as compared to some other site plans that we've seen recently, I was very pleased with the landscaping plan. In that the trees were dispersed relatively evenly over the entire property, including in front of the property, with gaps. So if you're driving, you can still see it's an Ace Hardware, but if you're looking straight up the street, you'll see trees all along on that side. And I was really happy to see that.
Anyone else? I would entertain a motion if there is one.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the city council approval of plat of survey for site plan Ace Hardware, subject to city staff and engineers' comments dated May 12th, 2023.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Vogel,
Yes.
Triplett,
Yes.
Olfest,
Yes.
Sires,
Yes.
Hankins,
Yes.
Bowersox.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Item number 7, reports and particulars.
I'm trying to think. I don't have much unless there's, I open this to questions from you guys. I'm just focused on a couple of different things to talk about, but we'll just do that. So if you have questions, I mean, there's obviously a lot going on, and never a dull moment, but certainly, is there any questions that you guys may have for me? Because this is your time to, not just me talk at you, but certainly I want you to ask questions if I can help. I'll always from Chelsea or Jalen. Okay.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
So what is the legislative impact to your budget, that latest, property tax bill that passed?
I mean, I don't think any of us know or will know until we get valuation information this fall, winter. You know, in a matter of hours, the bill went from 35 pages to 70, so I mean, just nobody knows what the impact's going to be.
Question.
Good
answer, Dick.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. City manager staff,
I have nothing.
nothing? Commission members, anything?
Just a quick, forum call, I guess, for, next meeting. I will not be attending. So, let folks know in case others are not going to make sure to spread the word.
If there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Full Fest, was that you that second?
Yes.
Okay.